What is Bree like as a person, girl?
How much time do I have?
I need to. It's a necessity.
I hear what you said,
The
just so I know what.
the documentary crew is here today.
Ooh!
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah, they'll be here all day with me, which we got here bright and early. Sitting in on like different calls later, things I'm just trying to see what a life for me looks like nowadays.
You
So
can show us or show them.
so
That's great.
yeah, so there's one. And there's the other.
Is it not on camera?
You are on camera. You're tall. We can't miss you. We talk about this all the time. So they're just recording me and what I'm doing, but I wanted y'all to know that like the beginning steps are starting, and here we are. My name's Briona Jenkins. I came out when I moved here in 2016 as a queer black person growing up in a very large family that was very religious. I didn't even know that I was able to identify as queer until I moved here. Like, just never had heard of it. Had always like thought all genders were attractive, but never thought anything into it until I moved here and started to have more language around what the LGBTQA plus community is. Ended up calling my godparents and my dad. I called all three of them and chickened out over the phone, asking what was wrong, and I was like, listen, I'm bi or queer, I don't know, but I know I don't just like men. And all three of them were like, whatever makes you happy, whoever makes you happy, we don't care.
Yeah.
I am a timely person. How are you today?
I am good. I'm alone. The news makes me mad, obviously. But
Yeah, I don't watch that. No. We don't
yeah, I
watch
just
it.
watched the story of the family in Aurora.
What happened in
You
Aurora?
know what happened?
No.
So the police stopped a vehicle that um, they thought was stolen, and it had a woman and her five kids, all girls, age 17 to 6. So they draw out guns, tell everyone to come out, tell everybody to lie down on their faces on the concrete, hot concrete, including the 6-year-old, and they handcuffed the two teenagers. I think the 17 and 50-year-old. They handcuffed the mom.
All this for a stolen car. Oh, sorry,
And
an alleged.
it was not stolen.
I hate the world. Can we just not? I just googled it. I said like everyone was handcuffed. I'm like, she's 6. I hate everybody.
I'm like, this is crazy that you could not use discretion and be like, okay, put the kids aside. Like, if you think, and the car was not even stolen. It's yeah, that's the I saw that. Like, yeah,
No, thank you.
yeah. So that's what we're dealing with.
And it's just like it's never ending, right? Like it's just every day it's just something new. Especially like with everything going on like nowadays with Black Lives Matter and being especially dealing with COVID too. Just the idea of getting arrested, that trauma around that, and then also like the safety around your health too, because you don't know if any of these officers have it, who they just were interacting with, and the precautions around just retaining health. And then also like if you think about healthcare too, like who's to say that this family has health insurance, like right, like if they did come in contact with someone in therapy, what's therapy going to do for me right now? Reparations in the form of money only, thank you.
Yeah. And somebody needs to like take like you could all 5 white police officers did not think any different.
And that's like
It
what
was like, okay, stop. This is a whole female family.
and that's what gets me like this hive mind that I've seen around like a lot of police, like they can't say anything because they'll lose their job. Like we just see how often that happens of, well, if you say something, you are putting your whole team in danger. Like, no, we are the ones with the weapons in full combat gear arresting these people. But yeah, I just You have a whole family of women in this car right now that you pulled over because A, you thought the vehicle was stolen, but B, you thought it was stolen because I'm sure it was a black family. You thought, oh, no, well, no, black people can't afford cars, so this one must be stolen. Like, don't let your implicit bias for sure, stereotype this family, but it's therapy.
And the children are not considered as children. Like black children are
Oh,
not children.
Patricia, I was just
That's
talking about.
how I was like, yeah, this is how Tamir Rice was killed.
Yep.
You do not see him as a kid.
The adultification of black kids. I mean, what black boys are seen as men at like age 8 or 9. Black girls sooner, because I mean, if you think about how so often we're told as black girls, like, not to be grown, not to act fast, not to wear this when people are coming over. Like, if I want to wear shorts in my house, why do I have to be concerned about what like that whole disconnect? Reading a lot about that right now, and having a friend who, she's white and she adopted a black baby, and so she's moving out of Austin because of her son and his safety. And so she's been talking a lot with people online, being like, hey, you think my kid is cute now, but what are you going to do in 5-6 years? Like, you're not going to still think he's this cute little boy right now. So she's been talking about that of like, yes, right now they know all their neighbors, but like, God forbid some stranger moves in. We've been in this neighborhood for 10 years now, and they, don't think that he belongs here. And I'm just like, so she's moving him. And I'm like, I think that is a great call. She's moving him up to the Northeast, where it's a little bit more diverse, and more black people. He'll be taught by black people, which is so important. But yeah, talking about that all the time, just like the amount of steps that black parents have to take to keep their kids safe, and the adultification around black kids of how often we have to tell our kids these stories to keep them safe, or put the energy and ownership of keeping ourselves safe on little children. So that's why I'm not a parent. This is it right here. I'm like, whew.
How many calls do you have to take today?
Let me see my calendar. So I had the 1 at 10. I had Bex at 11. I have Stephanie at 11:30. Tracy at 12. Taylor at 1. Caitlin at 2:30. And then my panel's not till 5:40. So like a good 3-hour break between those situations. So calls like the one I just had with Bex is like mostly it's free. Bex is a friend. Yeah, they were just trying to connect me to a thing. The call I had this morning with my college, Albertus, was that call y'all were here for this morning. They're paying me for the speaking engagement. For them, they set the price, but I'm also doing 3 engagements with them. So I get to just reuse the same PowerPoint presentation. So they're paying me for each speaking engagement, but I get to use the same PowerPoint over and over again, so that y'all can just pay me the same thing over and over again. But typically, I set the price usually. A lot of things in consulting, which I've been learning, is that you have to upcharge yourself a lot of the time. People, if you charge too little, they'll be like, okay, just throw money when they actually have more money to give. But B, if you kind of lowball yourself, people don't think you value yourself. So now I have it, I kind of have it set high, but I'm also like, you never know what can happen. It's I decided to set my speaking engagements at $250 just to begin getting this paper. I am currently recording a panel today called Beyond the Model Minority Myth with whomst. This is with, oh my God, I can't remember. Oh, the Austin Asian Communities Civil Coalition. Talking about the model minority stereotype. We'll be unpacking that. I'm exploring an underreported history of Asian Americans, activism, bringing together panelists from the AAIP community, Black African American community, Latinx and Hispanic community, and the LGBTQ plus community. We will discuss concrete steps we can take to become more civically engaged and join the movement for civil rights and social racial justice. So it's myself, Mike Siegel, who's a candidate for Texas House District 10, Nelson Linder, who's the president of Austin NAACP, and Jen Ramos, who is the Texas National Committee woman for the Young Democrats of America. Also, they only put, for me, activist and host the Tea with Brady. I don't know how many other accolades I have. No shade, but shade. any time I can lend my voice and my experiences to a panel just to kind of give different perspective is an honor. Also because I know Jen, who's on this panel with me, my friend Satvik, who is now the co-director of NLC with me, he invited me on, and I think he's moderating this panel, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just excited to, again, not only have conversations and create space that way, but then also like for my business now, it's just really helpful to have these things that I can like add to my press page for people. So yeah, everything is a business these days.
Briona, do you prefer Brie or Briona?
I prefer Brie. Briona means I'm in trouble. So Brie is my preferred, but all of like my business stuff and professionally I'm Briona, but I prefer Brie.
I'm gonna call him Brie.
Briona Jenkins. I work for myself now, Briona Jenkins Consulting. Currently, I sit on the board of New Leaders Council Austin as the co-director, and I also sit on the board of Lone Star Victim Advocacy Project as their like fundraising ad hoc board member. I'm sure there's 17 other things I do that I can't remember right now. I host a podcast. I've lived in Austin for the last almost 5 years. And yeah, that's where I'm gonna stop.
I'ma let you know. Don't you try to.
Does speaking like these kinds of speeches, do they make you nervous?
I always get nervous. I'm comfortable talking in front of a lot of people, but I think the day I stop getting nervous is the day that I don't care anymore. I think my nervousness shows that it's still really important to me. I've always told people when they ask, like, do you get nervous? What do you do? I'm like, well, a lot of the time when I speak at these things, it's people who I know or people who I'll never see again. So if I mess up, who really cares? But I mean, there's also that other side of people who are like, well, what if someone judges you? And so last year I started thinking I read somewhere of like, it is really easy for people in the audience to make comments when you're the one on the stage. And so like I've been sitting with that energy a lot of, it is really easy to critique people when you're not the one in the spotlight or you're not the one putting your neck on the line. So yeah, I mean, I still get nervous, but I'm very excited and honored to be able to hold this space. And I feel like, the more I share and the more stuff I do in the public, it gives other people who are marginalized maybe the confidence or like the go ahead to do the same. So I would say if me sharing my story gives one person the courage to share theirs, then I've done what I'm supposed to do.
She's also the host of her own podcast show called The Tea with Bree, where she sit and chat with different guests every week about whatever topics the guests choose. Please help me give Bree a warm welcome. Make some noise for Bree Jenkins.
Yes, baby!
Hi, everyone. Hold on.
What are you afraid of?
Failure. Literally, like, not doing a good job at something. So, like, today, like, the speech, it's something that I, like, was meticulous on. Like, this morning, like, I had to do final touches on it. But failing at, like, everything I do, dealing with imposter syndrome a lot of the time, too, of feeling like, do I actually belong here? Is this a space I should be taking up? Should I be the one here? Are there other Black queer women who are doing this? Why is it me? So just a lot of fear of failure and not living up to expectations, but it's mostly my own expectations because I'm my own worst critic. Good afternoon. My name is Briona Jenkins. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a Black queer woman who has already voted. I am so honored to share space with you today. I want to start by honoring those we've lost this year. The over 200,000 people who lost their battle with COVID, John Lewis, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, our Black siblings who have lost their lives due to police violence and brutality, our trans, non-binary, and genderqueer siblings who we have lost to violence, the LGBTQIA folks who have died by suicide because living in this world was too much for them, and the many others who I haven't mentioned, but I remember you as well. I know we hear every 4 years that this is the most important election of our lifetime, and every 4 years, it is. We believe that America keeps making progress, and then we get to an election year, and realize that nothing has changed. We still have Black people being murdered by the police. The earth is getting hotter. We have neighbors experiencing homelessness. Healthcare and mental health services are still not a basic human right. People with uteruses are being told what to do with their bodies. We are in an endless loop of having the same conversations. As we gear up for this year's election, I want to remind you how important it is for you to vote. With our country's long history of voter suppression, I can understand why people feel as though their votes do not matter. According to Business Insider, around 138 million Americans voted in a 2016 presidential election. However, those 138 million only make up 58% of voting eligible population in the country. That means 42% of eligible voters did not vote in 2016. I want to make something very clear. Every vote matters.
What were you going through in your mind? Like, what were you thinking of when you found out your mom had cancer?
I was in 10th grade. I had just made the volleyball team. So that whole summer, my mom took me to every single week on Monday. I had volleyball camp where I learned how to serve all summer because I sucked at it. So I've made the team, and all I thought was like, she won't get to watch me play, and that was the only thing I thought of that whole season. So if you were a close friend of mine, you did not even know my mom was sick. I went to school every single day. I only missed school for her funeral and then the next day because my dad made me stay home. But I was very big on just gritting and bearing it and moving on and moving forward, to the point that I didn't actually cry at her funeral because my dad was crying, and so I didn't think it was okay for me to cry if my dad was crying. You know, when she got sick, I was like, she'll get better. She beat cancer before. And then I found out that her cancer had gotten so bad that they didn't think she'd make it past Thanksgiving, and then she actually ended up living until February. But I was 15, and you don't think your parent's gonna die, so my mom didn't want me to see her sick, and so I kept myself really busy, and so I would go and see her on Christmas, but didn't get to spend a lot of time with her. There's so many things I wish I would have asked her. But yeah, I mean, it sucks to think about it now. If I knew then what I know now, I would have spent every day at the hospital. Yeah, I always just hope she's proud. That's always the biggest one. That's also a thing people often post. You're like, your mom would be so proud. I know she's proud wherever she is. And just talk to her. I always think about what it would be like to be out and have her know, because I don't think she would have cared. There's just everything. There's been so much that I've done in the last couple of years that I just wanted her to be at. I often tell people the day I become perfect is the day I'm able to judge others, and that's kind of how I live right now. It is so easy for people to judge you when they have never lived your life. The advice I would give to my younger self, which I am still laughing about, I would say have more fun, but I think I had a lot of fun. I had too much fun in high school. I think it would be to slow down and appreciate things more. Right now, I have a really tough time remembering things, and I don't know if it's because I've blacked out some memories or if it's just my brain putting a protective thing on me. But I wish I would say slow down and make more memories, take more photos, hug people longer. There's a couple of people who I've lost who are really important to me, and so I wish there were more photos I took there. So I think take more photos, slow down, tell people you love them when you do, and appreciate every single day, because nothing's promised.
Martin Luther future, I've been coolin', don't you text me. Rollin' with my kinfolk, mix it up like blood and cuss, yeah. Inglewood, I'm rapping, but you know I'm from Westwood, yeah. I'ma keep it flowing, got it raining like a flood. And you said your girl was bad, but I thought she was a stud. What the fuck? I'ma let you know. Don't you try to drop my flow. Tell her hop up on my wave ship. Tell 'em, don't you try to drop my wave, bitch. Hold up, I'ma let